everybody, and welcome back to the test screening. And today we have a really special guest. She's one of our uni friends, but she's also a director, a cinematographer, a camera woman, and now the curator at Project Ours, which is a collective, an arts collective in Brighton. And we've got plenty to talk about. So, hi, Stella, how are you doing?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to talk about everything with you guys.
It's great to have you.
It's been a while since we've had a proper catch up. I think we see each other in drips and drabs, just kind of the remains of uni, like events going out. We just see each other every 3 months or something until the end.
We all sort of converge at a festival or an awards ceremony for our second and third year films, and then it's just go our separate ways for a few months.
It's not a bad place to meet up, though. At a nice
film. No, to be fair, can't complain.
Always a pleasure to celebrate together.
I really want to start off with Project Ours because that's the most recent thing that you've been doing. It's really exciting, and just tell us a little bit about what Project Ours is and how it all started and came together.
So Project Ours is a collective made up of female, non-binary and trans filmmakers. We started back in February. There was just a Facebook page called Brighton Filmmakers, and a group of us were just shall we make a collective? Let's do something so we can all meet up and collaborate and make some films together. So we created it. It was just a WhatsApp chat, and then a creative residency came up at our local gallery, and we got an application together in a few days, mainly made up of 4 or 5 of us. And we just submitted it, not thinking that we would get it, because we were such a new collective, getting to know each other and kind of putting together a manifesto and figuring out what we wanted to kind of achieve with it. But we did get it. And then, we're kind of in residency right now until the 20th of August. And we're just putting on events and screenings and talks and kind of trying to just create more of a community within Brighton that kind of supports gender minority filmmakers. So, that's us.
That's really cool. So when you were kind of putting together, so this is a very new collective, as you said, you were all kind of just met on a group chat. And did any of you know each other before you started?
So a few of the members had worked at Picture House together, because I think the film scene in Brighton is a lot smaller. So most people know each other through, just the local cinemas and hanging out, going to the same kind of events. But I'd not met anyone before, so it was kind of going in completely blind. But luckily, we all like each other, and it seems to be going pretty smoothly right now, touch wood.
Good start. So where's the gallery, just for people who might want to come and give you guys a visit?
So it's called Phoenix Art Gallery, and it's in the centre of town in Brighton. So you'll be able to easily find us. We're right next to Brighton Uni as well. It's got a lovely cafe, and we're in the main studio space. So check us out on Instagram at Project Ours.
Gotta get a plug in.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's some really exciting workshops and stuff you guys have been doing. I saw that you had a camera tech workshop, which I know is something that you've always been really passionate about, putting tech in the hands of women who are interested in that field. Was that something, did you lead on that, or was that something that you were, that's really cool.
So at the beginning, when we were trying to put together a program for our residency, we kind of each put some ideas on the table of what would be representative of what events we would like to host or what events we would like to go to as creatives and filmmakers. So my main thoughts were the round table panel with female or non-binary filmmakers, followed by a tech surgery, which was a demo kind of workshop where people could ask questions about kit and have a play, just kind of what we do at uni. And then my second idea, which was also quite a few members of the collective also agreed on, was to have a short film screening night. And again, I think that was really inspired by our film course at uni and kind of always sharing kind of the work that we were doing together, just to kind of see what content is out at the moment in Brighton.
Yeah, you sold that out, didn't you?
Yes, we just put some more tickets on, but that sold out like an hour later as well. So hopefully it'll be a packed out little screening.
Nice.
Can you give us sort of a hint of what kind of stories are being shown in the shorts that you'll be screening?
Yeah, so it's kind of a collective, like, group of films surrounding identity. Because we basically just put an open call out and we were like, we'll just see what we get. And then we extended it to try and open the pool up more. And then we're like, oh my God, all these films are so different. Why did we not put a call out with a theme? That would help us. So yeah, it ranges from like comedies to dark humor to kind of more art house experimental, just like crazy visuals. So we've got some great shorts in there. We've got 15-minute, 10-minute, and then like a few 3-minute ones. So it'll be a nice range of like different types of short films, I guess. We've got super shorts and then nice shorts. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, when is that happening? Just for, well, you sold out. You can't even plug it. It's sold out.
It's sold out, guys.
Sold out.
It is happening on Friday. This Friday coming. I believe, is it the 4th? This Friday?
Yes.
Yes, so it's happening on Friday the 4th of August.
Right, all my days are merging into one as well.
I know.
Same.
Yeah, what we're hoping to like create a program and share it all on our Instagram as well. So if people want to follow the filmmakers or watch the short films, we're hoping to like be able to share it and make it accessible for everyone. So if you haven't got a ticket, we'll find a way of getting them to you if you want to see them.
I might take you up on that. That sounds like
VIP access.
But of course, you are like a filmmaker in your own right, and you've made your own work as well. And I just kind of want to have a little nerd out here first, because you've done camera work for the Lionesses, and I've been obsessed with the Women's World Cup at the moment. So can you talk a little bit about how that came about and what the experience of doing that was like?
Yeah, so I'd say I probably have peaked too soon. That's probably the coolest thing I can do.
No, it's all only go up. Only go up.
Yeah, so basically whilst I was studying at uni, I just applied for everything, like all the free work I could. I just sent my emails out, also to paid things, got rejected a ton. But weirdly enough, I think it worked itself out, because as soon as I graduated, I got an email and it was like, hi Stella, we've kept your CV on draft, like we've kept it on the books, and we're actually looking for a full female camera team to record Lionesses live for the Lionesses during the Euros. Would you be interested? And I was like, holy fuck, like, yes, of course I'd be interested. So yeah, it kind of just happened that way round, like not really through word of mouth or anything. It was just because I'd been trying to ram my CV in anyone's face, and luckily they just stored it. So yeah, that was pretty incredible. And I was shooting. It was live broadcast for Lionesses Live. So we went live for 10 minutes or half an hour every day. And I'd spend 8 hours a day just dossing about pretty much. There was like a really cool little set that we had built right next to where the Lionesses would train every day. So whilst I'd be setting up my camera, I'd then sit and have like an ice cream with my little lioness bucket hat on and my headset, waiting to go through like blocking and rehearsals. And I just see like Lucy Bronze kicking a ball about. But yeah, they were all really lovely as well. Like whilst we were rehearsing, loads of them would just come over and sit on beanbags and ask us questions about the kit and like what we were doing. So I had nice chats with Jill Scott and Beth Mead and stuff. And yeah, they're as lovely as you'd think they are. But also just like being on set, like with a full female camera crew and being in the presence of like some iconic, world leading, badass women was just such an inspirational feeling, and it was great. I really loved that whole experience. It was brilliant.
Oh, Jill Scott is what an absolute legend as
I
well.
know, right?
Icon.
Such a babe.
I wouldn't be able to talk to them, I admit, at this point.
I would, yeah,
I'd be quite like, like
What do I say?
right? Yeah, same. And like Amelia de Moldenberg came on to like present a few episodes. So I met her as well. And she was so hilarious. But also I was like, oh my God, that's Amelia de Moldenberg. Like, how do I even speak to her? Like, what do I do? And she came up to me and she was like, can I sit on that beanbag? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah, it's just funny because they were just like walking around and I was just there like, am I allowed to speak to them? Like, do I look them in the eyes? Do I look at the floor? Like,
Keep my head down like I'm not here.
yeah. But no, they were all really lovely. I had a great time.
Have you been watching it, the Women's World Cup?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with it. I watch every game. I know they're gonna do really, really well. They're just such an amazing group of players, and like it's so cool to kind of be witnessing greatness as it's happening.
It's definitely like just since when I was little, like since the Euros having the impact that it did, you've seen like such a sudden change in like just women's sport in general since they had that victory. It's been really cool to see.
Yeah, well, after working with them, I was so inspired. I joined a women's football club in Bristol, and I made so many friends. It was great fun. And then moving back to Brighton, that is something I'm looking to do come September, is to join a club down here. But yeah, absolutely loved it. And actually, fun fact, when England played their first game of the World Cup, they had a big screen put up on the beach down in Brighton, and Beth Mead was there. So I actually saw Beth Mead like 2 weeks ago, and I got a little bobblehead of her as well.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, it was lovely.
That's
keeping it up, trying to see them once a year for the rest of my life. That would be pretty nice.
Like the occasional reunion.
Yeah. I was like, hi Beth, I actually work with you on Lionesses Live. You probably don't remember me, but I was just wondering if I could have a picture. And she's like, oh yeah, of course, like come in. It was so nice.
Oh,
but yeah, she probably had no clue who I was.
Hey, you never know. You know, when you work with people for a long enough amount of time, I think faces do stick in your head. I'm sure she did remember you.
Well, hopefully, fingers crossed.
How was the experience like shooting live broadcast compared to, you know, the very kind of long prep time we would have and the fiction and documentary style location and studio projects we did while we were at uni?
Yeah. So I had done a fair bit of experience. Like the first ever film job I had was filming live Christmas carols at Brighton Dome. So and since then I kind of done like some live camera operating for some theatre events. So doing broadcast, it was very much like you only have a few times to rehearse something. Obviously you don't want to waste the talent's time, so you go through, block it. Then as soon as you know your camera movement, you can practice it, make sure you're feeling comfortable with it. And then you do just spend a lot of time waiting around for it to happen. And then the whole countdown happens and you have your adrenaline rush and you feel like shaky, and then you just do it and then it's done. So I quite like it because it feels very methodical, and you know kind of when you have to perform and do well and when you can kind of relax and just kind of enjoy being on set and kind of getting to know the other crew members and stuff. In terms of like the day, it was quite long. Like you think if you're only shooting for 10 minutes, half an hour a day, it wouldn't be a full like 10-hour day, but it really is. So you still arrive on set early in the morning, set the cameras up, like rig everything, do some techie things, then just spend a lot of time waiting. So yeah, it was really different in terms of like doing camera stuff for short films or any kind of independent stuff I've worked on professionally, but it was such fun experience. I was just excited the whole time I was there and just felt really grateful for the opportunity. So yeah.
You still have the Lioness bucket hat?
Yeah, of course I do. I whip it out. I'm going to take it in trailing with me.
Yeah, oh, that'd be great.
Great conversation starter. Where'd you get that? Oh, I just shot with the lionesses,
Yeah, I just had it lying around.
And now going on to some of your own work as well, because we've worked with you a few times at uni and things like that and done projects, but you've also done your own project, which you wrote and directed, and that's called Skeletal Behaviors. And you actually filmed this kind of post uni. So do you want to just kind of explain for people kind of how that came about? Because there was the whole COVID-ness and everything of it
Yeah.
all, and how skeletal behaviors kind of came to be.
Yeah, so for my grad films, I just worked as a camera operator, camera assistant, which at the time I was kind of disappointed about because I was like, yeah, I'm going to DP my final grad film. It's going to be amazing. But everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. And I was kind of like, okay, cool. What am I going to do next? And then as everyone was kind of like meeting deadlines, stressed out about everything, I found myself having all this time on my hands. I was like, why is everyone so stressed? And the uni kind of, as an apology for COVID, and our year was like right in the middle of it all, they said that they would give resources to a few projects that would be greenlit so that we could shoot a short film over the summer. And I pitched for that and got greenlit. And it was the first kind of script that I had kind of written and the first treatment I'd put in together as kind of like a directory person. So I
Directory person.
Very technical term.
tell I'm not. I didn't specialize in that field at uni. I didn't have any of the terminology. Like my script was awful. I just kind of like you can tell a camera person put that treatment together because the visuals were amazing, but anything else just kind of fell a bit flat. But luckily they got my intentions with it, and yeah, we got greenlit. It was such a tight turnaround. I think we had like a month, maybe, yeah, a month in pre-production. I wrote the script in 2 weeks. Then we
Wow.
had a 3-day shoot, and then we had a month in post. And then we had to meet it because it was being screened at the Watershed as part of the New Voices program that Cables and Cameras were putting on. So we had the firm deadline of 4th of September to meet. And we started like July, maybe June, July time.
And
So yeah, it was pretty crazy amidst the whole like everyone is moving out of Bristol because of housing. We've graduated, so there was a lot of second years working on my film that were moving into third year that kind of wanted experience for their what was the module we had to
was it just called industry experience?
yeah.
I can't even remember. It was
Yeah,
no,
Professional
so
it
showcase.
was called something
yeah,
else.
yeah, maybe it was that one. But basically, the team was crazy. I had a different AD every day. So the cast only knew me. I didn't have a producer on set either. So I was kind of just running around, like doing everything. And then I had a bunch of second years and some third years working on it. So we actually didn't really know each other that well as a group. And then I didn't meet my post team at all for the whole of post. We just had a few calls and I just had a few texts with the post soundy, and that was it.
Wow,
So
I didn't know most of that. For some
Me
reason,
neither.
I didn't realize that it was such a tight turnaround. For one, I knew that it would
yeah,
be tight, but I didn't realize it was that tight.
yeah, because it was like I said, it was because people were leaving Bristol in and out, and then we only had the resources for a specific period of time, and we had to share that same kit with the other groups that got greenlit. So it was very tight, and obviously everyone then was like, I need to work. This was like completely unpaid, so it was like, okay, let's just fit this around everyone's schedule. So it's an absolute crazy shoot for my first thing to direct. It was like jump in the deep end. Let's just see what we can make of this at the end. But yeah, I'm super proud of it. It was good little good little film, good experience as well.
And the film
Considering
turned
how,
out great. The film turned out beautifully. I
yeah.
really liked it.
I mean, I remember hearing that the turnaround was quite tight. and a little bit stressful at times. But I didn't have any comprehension of just how like fragmented the crew was at times, and how sort of crazy the whole experience was. I mean, considering that the film, you wouldn't know it watching the film. It's so polished visually and has like a very sort of clear thematic focus and idea at the heart of it. And yeah, I don't think any of that, frantic running around trying to sort it all comes across on screen, which I guess is exactly what you want.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I remembered what I was going to ask you. I was going to say, do you mind just describing what the film's about?
Yeah, of course. So Skeletal Behaviors is a 10-minute short film following a mixed race woman called Afia, who enters a facility called Bellevue, thinking that they're gonna offer her kind of a better way of living, and actually this facility are selling her as a delicacy to this white elite. So it follows her journey through the 10 minutes, and kind of, yeah, as she discovers what is actually happening, the audience does as well. So we kind of on that journey of twisted race politics with her.
Is horror and like political horror and stuff like that, is that something that you've always been drawn to?
Oh my God, I love it. I just think the first time I remember being aware of it was watching Get Out by Jordan Peele, and my tutor at college actually recommended it to me, and that was the first essay I ever wrote in film, was on that film. And I just remember thinking, this man is so insanely talented that he can take something which can be quite like traumatic for people of color, and also really hard for a lot of people and white people to kind of digest. This kind of topic of race is quite taboo, and he kind of came in and delivered it in such an entertaining way where it kind of made everyone feel uncomfortable, but everyone came away from that film really thinking about, well, where do I sit on that spectrum, like kind of second guessing all of these interactions and second guessing where we are in society and how far we think we've come with race politics. And yeah, I think he's just absolutely genius. So Skeletal Behaviors was very much inspired to him, and he's one of my big heroes for sure.
Yeah, I love me a bit of Jordan Peele as well. I mean, like, it's one of those annoying people where you're kind of like, can you leave some talent for the rest of us, please? Because, like, he's funny. Like, his Key and Peele sketches are fantastic, and then he just, casually puts out movies like Nope and Get Out, and you're just like, could you not? Actually, no, I don't mean that. We wouldn't have Get Out and Nope if he didn't. But
people forget about us.
I love that so much.
I think it's probably my personal favorite of the three, and I know that might be a slightly unpopular opinion, but I mean, all three of them are great and modern horror classics. But I think I may be partial to Us.
Yeah, and I think he produced or was like script writer or something. He basically was very much involved with the Candyman, the remake that came out, which I absolutely loved as well. It had him written all over it. And I think like I very much take his films as very standalone for each piece. I don't really like to compare his body of work, because we know thematically they're all going to be about race and identity and like otherness. But I think I just love all his films, and I just think he's brilliant. He balances humor and kind of those uncomfortable feelings of like fear and stuff so well.
What themes kind of specifically did you want to tackle in the story of Skeletal Behaviors, and how did you maybe take some of your Jordan Peele inspiration and sort of put that into your own work?
So I very much Skeletal Behaviors was mainly influenced by my personal experiences of being like discriminated against or fetishized as a mixed race woman. So it does focus a lot on kind of the fetishization of women of color and of Black men, and also kind of cultural appropriation and how it seemed to be like trendy now to be mixed race and to like have this gorgeous big curly hair and like to have this tanned skin all the time. And those were things that when I was younger I got bullied about, and I tried to conform as much as possible. So I'd straighten my hair all the time, and like I just never really understood that switch of like the older I seemed to get, suddenly all the things that I really tried to kind of suppress about my identity became the things that I was embracing because it then was socially acceptable or socially deemed as beautiful. So, yeah, it was very much based off of personal experiences. But I just chucked it in this like dystopian horror setting to kind of like exaggerate all of those kind of anxieties and kind of my own perception of how those conversations were making me feel. Those feelings were then just exaggerated massively. Yeah, so I liked using the genre to kind of not exploit, but like to kind of project how those feelings of discomfort is for everyone, and like it's not just projected onto the person that is receiving that kind of discrimination, whether that be positive or negative. It also can be very uncomfortable for the people kind of dishing it out. And I think that's kind of what I wanted the audience, their main takeaway to be like, where do I sit on this spectrum of like, is that compliment actually a compliment, or is it slightly problematic?
Is it loaded in some way?
Yeah, exactly. Because like since post BLM and like George Floyd, I think there's been a lot of acknowledgement of like racism and discrimination, but I think within film we have the power to use film as an educational tool. And I just really like again how like Jordan Peele uses it very subtly, but very like he's putting it out there as a statement, but in some ways he just balances like genre so well that I kind of wanted to replicate the same in Skeletal Behaviors. I didn't want people to feel discomfort the whole way through, but I wanted it cinematically to make you uncomfortable. So I tried to juggle that.
It did.
No, it certainly did. Yeah, so the thing I really remember from having seen Skeletal Behaviors was the had a real edge of like physicality to it. There were these really claustrophobic sequences where the white elitist kind of femme fatale character is sort of enslaving and almost kind of assimilating with the mixed race characters, and just sort of intertwining these really kind of sinister dances almost. It was really strange and kind of very symbolic of the themes. And I love that when horror is able to use sort of the physicality of its characters and elements of body horror to communicate its ideas without strictly, using exposition to hit on those points. And yeah, I just found them supremely uncomfortable. And also the repeated kind of blood curdling screaming that kind of echoes into the end credits, I thought was very, very powerful. And it's interesting hearing you say that about wanting to exaggerate those ideas, because I mean that's the great thing about horror, because it allows us sort of this formal reign to envision these very, for lack of a better term, unrealistic, fantastical scenarios that really clearly embody a lot of uncomfortable internal feelings and societal sort of cues and norms that we've become accustomed to, that we have the power to sort of change. And speaking of using cinema as the power to change, nice little segue there.
Right. Well, that's a nice segue till you pointed it out, Billy. That's how that works.
Yeah. We like to be self-aware on the test screening. So the Skeletal Behaviors screened in Brighton, I believe it was, with the Watermelon Woman.
Yes.
Which
that happened.
Which Chloe told me. Which one is crazy, because that's a really significant film in the history of LGBTQ plus cinema and black cinema as well. But you hadn't seen it and weren't aware of it before. I mean, it is a fairly indie film, but
yeah, I know.
What was it like screening alongside that kind of work?
So firstly, I had heard of it. I just hadn't seen it. I just wanted to put that out there. Yeah, no, it was an incredible opportunity, and the Depot Cinelog team, that was their second time screening it, which they've been so supportive of skeletal behaviors and very supportive as me as an independent filmmaker, like trying to, make moves in Brighton. They've been incredibly supportive, and I really appreciate them screening my work and kind of trying to get as many people to see it as possible. But yeah, having it screened alongside The Watermelon Woman was just such an incredible experience, because I think having it screened amongst other short films, you can kind of you get that, like, the whole short film screening feels amazing because everyone's work is on the same kind of par, and that's why it's been programmed that way. But having it screened as like a pre-film to a feature, which I didn't know, but that used to happen a lot back in the day, it felt like a nod to me as a filmmaker, kind of making content that was about the Black or mixed race experience, and for them to program it alongside The Watermelon Woman, and that be my first time watching it, was I could see the references they were making or the links to why they might be similar. I mean, thematically I think they have some alignment, but in terms of genre and like filming style and everything, they are very, very different. And the audience that was watching it was actually screened in Lewes, which is a tiny town just outside of Brighton, and it's a very like white kind of elderly demographic. So yeah, me and my sister were the only people of color in the audience, so I was like, okay, this could go down interestingly. Especially to an older demographic of people where maybe like just our walks of life have been very different. And I didn't, playing skeletal in a very art house kind of cinema with like lots of young people in Bristol down at Watershed makes total sense. And you kind of are aware that maybe everyone is understanding of like what the film is as its own thing. So I was very nervous to screen it there, but yeah, everyone was lovely. I got a nice little round of applause, so I was happy. But yeah, it's really good as well to just showcase your work to people that the film isn't necessarily made for. Just because, yeah, it's just exciting as the filmmaker as well to kind of watch people watching your film is really weird.
kind of see if it has that reach.
Yeah, exactly.
I always think horror is like one of the best genres to watch with other people as well, because if it's working because you can hear it like physically in the room. So did you, when you screened it at other places, have you kind of felt that reaction to it?
Yeah, there's this kind of like, as the credits are rolling and she's like scream crying, you can tell everyone in the room are like, well, damn, like just silence, respectful silence, like they're not clapping until the credits are fully finished. I kind of love how dragged out it is. It's kind of like demanding your attention to kind of like, look who made this film. Isn't this amazing?
And it forces you to sit in that discomfort with how long the screaming goes on for.
Yeah, which like I hate watching that bit. Like I'm happy to watch the whole film. It's just that last scene in the credits I always really struggle to watch, just as well because that last scene was just a really difficult scene for the actor as well. It was just emotionally and physically very draining. It was the last scene we shot. We kind of shot the whole thing in order as well, so it kind of, all the emotions, everything was just ramping up to that last kind of moment. So yeah, it's always a bit intense watching it, but always a pleasure, always absolutely amazing to see your own work on the big screen as well. I mean, that's what we make films for.
Yes.
Before we move on, I was just going to ask you, being someone who comes from more of a camera techie background, how did you find directing? Did you enjoy it? Like, how was it?
It was incredible, but it's also a lot harder than it looks. Like you think, oh yeah, you just need to be good at chatting to people and then you'll be fine. but yeah, no, I massively enjoyed it. I just tried to make it as fun as possible, and I just really listened to everyone. Like working mainly as a cinematographer, I always really respect it and like appreciate it when the director asks me like, what did you think of that? Do you think do you want to try it from a different angle, whatever? So yeah, doing it as a director, I was very sensitized to trying to make sure every department was happy with how that take went, that the actors were really comfortable. There was a lot of things where I was breaking it a lot. Like I'm just like, I'm going to just go with it and see what sticks and what doesn't.
I feel like that's 90% of directing is just bricking it, honestly. I mean, that's what I've been doing for the last, like...
Yeah. And it does make you really think about how well you communicate. Like you might think in your head, I'm making total sense, but to everyone else, they might be receiving it differently. So yeah, it made me really think about how well my communication is. And I obviously liked it enough because I'm currently writing a second short film script. So I'm looking forward to eventually being able to direct again, and taking a lot of notes from skeletal behaviors.
We'll have to have you back after you've
Yeah.
made it.
Absolutely.
About it.
Gonna like promote that new material.
And just kind of talking about some of it, because we asked you just before we had this interview just to send us a couple of other influences, and you sent us over some films that Billy hasn't seen, which is an achievement within itself. I mean, it is rare that somebody recommends something and Billy hasn't seen it. So you get a gold star.
I love that.
You're already winning.
It's the thing everyone wants to achieve. Everyone wants to stump me.
Yeah. So this is
Mutt. You're in that class now.
So the film that stumped Billy is called Mutt, and it sounds really interesting. I had a little look at it before, and it definitely sounds like something that I need to look at because it seems like my kind of thing, for sure. But yeah, can you tell us a little bit about it and why it's kind of influenced you, or why you think it's like a work that of important?
So I kind of cheated the system a little bit because I saw this premiere at Berlinale and then again at Sundance. So it actually hasn't been released yet.
Oh,
festivals. So that's why Billy hasn't.
That'll be why.
Oh, damn it. I thought you'd caught him out.
Well, if he doesn't go to see it after my glowing reviews, I'll be very disappointed.
Oh well, you've been more on the festival circuit than I am, so you're doing better in that field.
So Mutt is a film. It's 24 hours in New York, and it follows the character of Fenya, who is a trans male character, and it follows their interactions with their dad, their boyfriend from before they transitioned, and their younger half sister. So it's a film all kind of about connections and identity and kind of accepting yourself and others accepting you. So like the themes, I just loved it. I feel like this year for me in general has been a lot about change, and this was one of the first films I saw back in February, and it just resonated a lot with me because yeah, it's about kind of like reconnecting with old relationships and kind of you being the thing that is different, and whether you want to kind of show your true self or your present self to these kind of old connections and hoping that they'll accept you, or just accepting that they might not accept you, and kind of putting yourself in new scenarios where you can fully live comfortably in your skin. And I just absolutely love it. It's directed by a trans director, protagonist as well. So I really think it's like the future of cinema, in terms of like what the crew are doing and the cast are doing is just very topical right now, like with what's going on in the world with trans rights being second guessed. It's very important that this film has the platform it has to kind of speak about those issues. Like, trans people are real people, and this is the perfect kind of film that shows kind of the struggles of other people accepting trans people. Like, trans people aren't the issue, and that's kind of what the film is stating, which I really love. And also, I'd never sat in a cinema with so many queer, non-binary and trans audience goers before. So in general, it's just a very like overwhelmingly positive space to kind of receive that film. And I just can't wait for everyone to see it. It's just absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye on that one for when that comes out, because it's interesting, because I remember when we were, being someone that's always looking for queer media, like obsessively looking for new queer media, I find that like the trans stories that we get, we're still quite behind filmically in that. I always find TV tends to be more current, and then film, we always seem a few steps behind with like any of these kind of issues. So it's really lovely to kind of hear that something's coming out which has like a trans lead, directed by a trans person, like something that's authentic, has that authenticity.
Exactly. I think because the director and the protagonist were trans, therefore the film was as authentically told as possible, and that's why it was enjoyable to watch, because you weren't like, this is a bunch of like straight people making a film about trans people because they think that it will sell or like get into festivals. It was like, no, this film needs to be heard and watched because it's made by the people that it's about. And that's why it was really enjoyable to just sit and be like, wow, finally, like trans cinema has arrived. Like, this is what it's about.
We were talking with when Billy spoke with Harriet, who does part of Switch Bristol, and they do a lot of trans-centric screenings. We had a great chat with her about some of the stuff, and it does seem like there's a little pocket. Things are starting to change with what was it, Death and Bowling? That was another film that had a majority trans cast. So I feel like we're going in the right direction. We just
yeah.
Have you guys heard about Kokomo City?
No.
So Harriet actually ran a preview screening while that film was still on the festival circuit a couple of months ago. I went to that. She introduced it. I chatted with her afterwards, kind of a little bit of a post-screening discussion as we do with her screenings, and it was a really terrific, independent, New York-based documentary about Black trans sex workers. And it's on the review slate for an upcoming episode. And because it's on general release, I think from the 4th. So if anyone who's interested in great new trans focus in Kokomo City, it's a little bit of a spoiler alert. It has my endorsement from me, but on a later episode we'll go into some more detail on that. But if Mutt is also a really powerful entry into that genre, then I'm sure Harriet will be all over it.
Yeah, tell Harriet to screen it.
yeah
It'll be great.
I mean, she's great about getting on top of those sort of new upcoming significant works in that field. So I imagine she will definitely be curating that. I'll have to mention it to her if she hasn't already heard about it.
And really interestingly as well, like on a short form kind of scale, two of the films that we're screening for our short film night are also transcentric themed by trans filmmakers as well. So it's really nice seeing that it's not just people at the top of the game with the budgets that can make films that are reflective of like the trans experience. There are trans filmmakers out there doing like short films, like ready to showcase that work as well. So it's accessible for everyone, which we love to see.
100%.
How it should be.
Love to see it. And I'm going to flip-flop now to a completely different, because you also mentioned the Goonies as one of your inspirations. And I need to talk about, I've not seen the Goonies in so long. It's been a while.
I just love it so much.
When did you first see it? Were you a kid when you first saw it?
Yeah. I think it's weird when I meet people who have never seen the Goonies or watch it when they're like in their late teens, early 20s. Like Goonies for Chloe, no.
Chloe's raising her hand timidly.
I'm sorry. I saw. Yeah, I think I was a teenager. I was late.
Shame on you.
I saw.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
sorry.
That's poor fun, but we'll move past it. Um,
Forgive you.
and I loved Goonies so much was because I was a kid when I was watching it. So it's the same kind of age as the characters in it. So I fully believed, like, I was on that journey with them. And like I love it so much because the whole cast is so diverse and it's about being othered. But Spielberg just does it so well. I mean, across all his films, it follows this like child narrative. You're on this journey. It's very like the audience is with the characters every step of the way. And as like a young mixed race girl, I saw myself as part of the Goonies team. Like I could fit into that, and that was amazing. Whereas like a lot of other films that, or like TV shows that I would like kind of digest, it wasn't really reflective. There wasn't a lot of people of color in them. So Goonies was something I would revert back to like over the years, and is still, I think, one of the main films that kind of inspired me into how does filmmaking, like how did they do that, like how did they build that cave and how did they go through all of it. I just thought it was amazing.
The practical effects in Goonies are brilliant. There is like that proper like swashbuckling feel about it. It's a fun movie. It's a good time.
It's just hilarious. It's just great. It's just a film that I will always enjoy. And also, like, I'm a massive Stranger Things fan, and just the links that Stranger Things made to Goonies, I just was like, it just brought back so many like happy memories when Stranger Things kind of brought in the Goonies everything. I was just like, I'm ready for it. I'm here. I love a good adventure.
Yeah, Stranger Things is very Goonies. I hadn't actually made that connection until I made all the like Stephen King connections and stuff like that. But now that you say it, I'm like, yeah, no, that's
Mikey in Stranger Things is Bob, isn't he? Yeah, he is Bob in Stranger Things. Winona Ryder's friend, and that's his whole storyline. Is like
I didn't realize that
out the map. And he is Mikey in Goonies. So the whole map thing with the rivers, that was a homage to him in Goonies. Come on, guys.
That's terrible. I should not have.
You need to rewatch it right now.
We do. I do need to rewatch it. I haven't seen. It's usually one of those ones that like it'll come on at like New Year's or Christmas or something.
Yeah, it just takes me back. I feel like a kid when I watch it. I love it so much.
Spielberg does that a lot for me. Any kind of Spielberg, it just puts me back in place. Like E.T. especially. I was a massive E.T. fan. It made me cry.
Super 8 as well. Brilliant.
Super 8, that's a fantastic film. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That's like very Spielbergian. Is it?
Yeah.
It's J.J. Abrams, isn't it?
I think it's J.J. Abrams. I think Spielberg has a producing credit on it. I think he.
Oh, does he? Okay. Yeah, because I thought because it's all the lens flares. It's very lens flare.
Yeah.
Super 8. Yeah, it's definitely got similar vibes. And there was also have you ever see Earth to Echo?
Oh.
It's very similar. It's like an ET type thing with a robot, but it's like kind of similar Goonies group vibes, but it was kind of done in found footage. And my main memory, I'm going to embarrass my sibling talking about this now, but my main memory of going to see it at the cinema is because the camera work was so chaotic. They got so ill during that screening. They had to leave like several times. It was not but it was just like this kid was meant to, like Super 8, this kid was like making a film, but it was just like no camera skills whatsoever. Clearly it was just like
how much shake do you want? Yes.
Yeah. all the shake all the time. So what's next for you then? What have you got well, clearly you're writing stuff and you want to make some more things. You've got all of the stuff going on with Project R. So do you want to talk a bit about what's on the horizon for you?
So I'm staying in Brighton for a bit. My aim is to just like flesh out the collective, gain some new members, kind of maybe collaborate. Maybe it will be mostly Project Hours members that work on my next short. Who knows? But yeah, it's kind of like just really embracing having a collective and kind of trying to use that to the best of our ability to kind of allow us as individual creatives to kind of make the projects we want. And I think that'll be really nice. Like, that was the great thing about being at uni, and our year group specifically. It was just the kind of we're all in it together type of thing. And that kind of just open communication and always seeing each other and having that workspace to kind of be creative, that really allows me to then come up with new projects and want to shoot stuff. So now we've created that, it's kind of like, okay, the fun things can start happening now. So yeah, gonna be focusing on that, and just, yeah, I might be going to, is it London Film Festival is in September or October or something?
Yeah, I believe so. I remember because I went to a bunch of those screenings because they were playing them at the Watershed last year.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to try and enjoy the festivals, like really be current, see what's out there, see what's being screened, just like network loads. I'm just really enjoying like meeting other creatives and kind of keeping those like doors open for collaboration. And also I'm just loving doing like camera assisting work, and working as like a freelance videographer is really fun. So yeah, I just
shot some music videos and stuff before, didn't you?
Yeah, I shot my first music video back in May, I think it was. That was really fun. That's coming out soon, actually. So yeah, it's just like trying to exercise all the muscles in my brain and kind of just be as creative as possible. But being open to like still doing like techie stuff, and also like writing and directing here and there if I can.
You're a busy woman.
That's how I like it, though.
Stella just wants to do everything all the time.
Yes, please. Hit me up if you have a project in mind and you need someone crazy to just say yes to it.
And then realise my schedule's too full after saying yes, but still managing to do them all.
Say yes on impulse and then panic later. That's
what I've been doing. I've been leading that whole kind of this year. Just say yes now, panic later, for sure.
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk with you. You've been brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing everything with us, and it's been so nice to see you again as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I feel very blessed to have made the list, and I'm just thanks for having me.
We'll have to have you back when you've got some more projects to talk to us about.
Yeah, please.
I want details of that script. Oh. I want to know what it's about.
Okay, I'll send you over the treatment. You can have a look if you like.
Oh, please. Oh, I'd actually really love to see that. It's been lovely talking to you, and we will be back next week with our normal reviews. And that's everything. So goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.